All right, our next story of the day.
Okay, so this was interesting. I'm just going to read this first line for you.
Okay.
Today's teens, according to USA Today, today's teens are on a slow road to adulthood, putting off risky behaviors from drinking to sex, but also delaying jobs, driving, and dating, and other steps toward independence. This is a study based on 40 years of survey data.
Okay.
So they looked at kids 40 years ago versus kids today. The amount of times these kids are drinking or having sex or doing promiscuous things, the percentage of teens who are doing that now has gone down, but so has their independence in a way, because a lot more children or kids or teens are choosing to not move out of the house when they're 18, not want to go out of state for college. Yeah, so this study is basically saying the 18-year-old of today acts more like the 15-year-old of 40 years ago.
I would agree with
that. And I would absolutely
I
agree with that.
agree.
But it's a different time in my eyes, and I have a problem when it comes to speaking negatively about the millennial generation, not just because I'm of it, but because every generation has its pros and its cons. And when the older generation looks down on the upcoming generation, they're going to find some issue with it. I'm sure back in the day, the people before those then 18-year-olds, or what are the teenager? What's the
Yeah,
age?
it's 18-year-olds living more like 15-year-olds.
Living more like 15-year-olds. I'm sure you could say that about every generation, because you're comparing it to a time where you existed, where you had less advancements. And I'm just going to put, for the millennial generation, the generation before has less advancements in technology. So that generation doesn't get what's going on. The fact that these millennials are very smart and very with their money, instead of spending on a house, that's not the American dream anymore. When I talk to a lot of millennials, and we can ask Pedro, who's behind the camera now, much more of a millennial than any of us here on the couch. Would you rather live with mom and dad and travel, or would you rather save up or make a monthly payment and rent a house?
I'd rather save, move, like go on road trips and.
But live with mom and dad.
Yeah.
Like that's not
and
seen
travel.
as a problem.
So let me give the other perspective. I have a 19-year-old niece. And I totally understand that it's just a different time. Kids now they're more advanced in regards to technology, but it's a self-awareness thing where you don't understand that you wanting to relax in some areas is now taxing on the older people in your lives.
How?
So if you still live with your parents, right? You still really don't care to get a job. You don't care to get a driver's license. Somebody got to take you to work. Somebody got to pay for you to eat. Somebody has to pay for you to live. The water bill's still high. Like, it's taxing on everyone in your lives. And again, this is just speaking from experience. Me and my relatives and my family members, in regards to all of the younger kids in our family, we always have discussions, and the thread that always comes back is they're just not as mature as we were. Not take technology out of it, take anything out of it, but the independence and the growth that has to happen for you to become a teenager to an adult, it needs to be on par. Otherwise, everyone around you has to take on that load because you don't.
Yes, but whose, and I hate to place blame and point a finger, who raised that generation?
But it's not about.
But who raised it? And it's a common quote.
But is it about raising if the child refuses to take the driver's license test? Because I don't want to drive, I'm not taking it.
They only refuse if the parent allows them to refuse.
You can't throw somebody in the car.
No, but that want and that desire, you're enabling. A parent sometimes is enabling the kid because there may be more of helicopter parenting. That's a thing of the last generation.
I don't think it's necessarily enabling.
I think they get the gold star when they go pee.
I don't think it's enabling.
I think it's so they grow up feeling.
I don't think it's enabling when the kid feels like they don't have to. So if the parent says you need to get a driver's license because I can't take you to work, whatever,
they're gonna figure it out.
But they figure it out. But to them, that still means. So what if it's taxing to you? It's not enabling, because if the parent is saying this is what you're going to do, it's that kid's choice if you want to do it or not.
Well, then the parent should just say and not ever do it. But if the parent gives in and takes the kid, then the kid's going to continue to take advantage.
Okay, wait, can I throw this in there?
Sure.
I also think that social media plays a huge role in where our students and teens are in their lives, and this dream of, look at all the travel bloggers I follow on Instagram, and oh my gosh, they're in a different country every day, and look at all the things they're making food-wise. It looks like they never have a 9-to-5 job. There are so many false senses of identity on social media. So
Sure.
you see these people as role models. So it might not be your parents in your own house telling you, it's fine if you don't work, it's fine if you don't get the license. Maybe they're like, no, go do it, but I'm your mom, so I'm going to support you regardless.
And I get that. I get that.
But
Mom's
I
gonna
also
support.
think that with social media, these teenagers and myself, any age group really, you see these people who are living these lavish lifestyles and you're thinking, gosh, why am I waking up at 2 a.m. every day to come to work? I want to make pretty food and make money and live. Like,
But here's the other
I want to travel.
positive side of social media. You want to sit here, I'm not saying you, I'm saying people, I've even done it, sit here and go like, gosh, someone like a Kylie Jenner does nothing. But guess what? She's racking in, she's found a way to rack in billions of dollars. There are ways now using technology
But
that
if
this
her
millennial
name-
generation is so good at. There are ways to earn money by sitting at home and posting
Right,
pictures.
but if she didn't come from the Kardashian family, would she have been as successful as quickly?
there were so many people who were on that level as Kylie Jenner who started from just being a little social sensation.
But every
so
kid is
Kylie's
incapable
different.
of that. That's like saying, assuming that every kid can
but it's
be an
possible.
actor or do this thing. Some people just don't have the capacity or the creativity to do something like that. But again, and pointing this out based on the article, 55% worked for pay. That's down from 76%. So it's, to me, it's bigger than enabling. If I, as an 18-year-old, don't even want to work so I can have income to take care of myself, then that's the problem.
I would like to
somebody
know,
has to
though,
give you money.
for this study, what do they consider work? A 9 to 5? Like,
For
I
pay.
want to know. But to some millennials, working is posting to YouTube. But to a parent, that ain't working.
If you ain't
But
getting
you're
paid,
not getting
somebody
money
else has
to
to give
put
you
your
money, and I
gas
gotta
in
feed
your
you.
car.
I gotta feed you.
It
Yeah.
is. So what did the study say?
50. So work in regards to working for pay, it's currently 55%. That's down from 76%.
That do not work for pay.
Can I
So
tell
more
you
kids,
what?
back in the day, more people worked for pay versus today.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Edith
don't know
Flores
millennials
on the
like this.
topic of enabling. Edith Flores, thank you for sharing your perspective. She says, it's not enabling. As a parent, you cannot throw them out on the street. It is your flesh and blood. You must have children to understand. And I hear you there, even though
I
I don't
hear you.
even though I don't have children, none of us do, but I do understand the mentality of you can't just throw your kid out on the street. You also can't force them to go do things. I mean, yes, you want to believe that you are parenting in a way that is going to push them to want to be independent. My mom told me growing, out of my high school years into college, she said, the reason why I know I raised you right is because you weren't too scared to leave home for school, because you were okay leaving
Yeah.
home to go to college. And for her, that was like a self-reassurance that she did a good job because I wasn't so scared to be out on my own. And that's the way that I was raised. But some families want their families to stay close and they're so excited to be that way. But I think that as a parent, you can do anything in the world that you think is right for your kids. But I do think that the mentality of all teens is changing and they are influencing each other. And if this study is showing that almost 20% are not working for pay, at least compared to a couple decades ago, the trend is going in that direction. And so I just wonder, okay, who's going to pay for our Social Security if it's there?
Right.
Like I'm thinking about myself now too.
Right.
May or
And
may
I know a
not
lot
be
of
there.
You're on your own, boo.
May or may not be
You're on
there.
your own, boo, boo.
And I know a lot of people are chiming in and saying, none of you girls have parents, we
Kids,
have
yeah.
parents. Not have kids, you can't talk. But listen, I'll speak for myself. I am of that millennial generation. I may not have been the teen. I'm not a teen right now. I get that. But in the way I was raised, and it's also a personality thing. It's a big thing to do with personality. But I was also of that generation, but grew up knowing, given my parents' experiences, like knowing I had to work really hard. And I was fortunate enough to have been able to identify my passion at a very early age and was able to work really hard to get to this point. So it's, to me, like whenever they just say the generation thing, it bothers me because I'm part of that. And it's disappointing because I think it's this common misconception of a generation. I don't know a millennial in my life. I know a lot of millennials who live at home, but they all certainly work for their money. This idea of a lazy millennial, I mean, you can find lazy people in every generation.
Again, I'm speaking as the aunt of a millennial, 19
But she works, doesn't she?
But not by choice, because it becomes who's going to keep who's going to be taking care of you? Like if you are grown,
she got it, but she's working because she has to.
But again, if it wouldn't have been you are completely on your own, she would not have, because the decision, because the factor is, because the idea is, why should I have to? Like, I'm kicking, I'm on Instagram, on Twitter. I'm driving. I get my license. I guess I'll get it when I feel like it. To me, it's beyond enabling. It's this culture of feeling like, regardless of what happens, I'm just gonna be okay, and whoever has to help out with that, you help out with that, because I'm just kicking it. Like, it's a very relaxed, mentality.
Yeah. But so talk to me about her growing up then, because she didn't just become this on her own, right? I mean, it was a culture and the way in which she grew up, right? Was it the kids around her? I mean,
her friends are. That's how her crew is. So if people in your circle, maybe one of your homegirls has a job, but the rest don't, then you're going to be like, people aren't getting a job. When I was in high school, I got a job mainly because I needed money, but all of my friends had a job. Like, but see, and so I didn't want, like, it's a part of the growth process is when you see your peers doing something, when you see Dina getting straight A's and you see Megan getting straight A's and you getting C's, you're like, man, I need to step it up. A part of that is social influence. It has a lot to do with it. So if you see your peers not really doing anything, or they don't really take initiative, you're not going to feel like you have to. Some do, but some don't.
And I come from being the auntie of 9 kids. My one niece is 18 now. She just graduated from high school, and she is now a manager of a Taco Bell because she has built her way up. She started working at 15, and she knows she has no choice. Because if she wants to get the car and pay for the gas, and she worked very hard in school to get a scholarship in college, but like there was no option for her to not work. But she has a ton of friends who don't, and it's just, again, I think it's just how you were raised is part of it, who's influencing you is part of it, what you see for yourself in your own future, how motivated you are. Right. Yes, a lot of different factors go into it, but this study specifically, and the reason why we're talking about this story is that in general, this study shows that the typical 18-year-old these days acts more like a 15-year-old. So the trend is going down.
Okay, and I want to bring this up because this is, I want to make a correction on my part if this is correct. So Angie Garcia says a 19-year-old, I assumed they're talking about millennials, but she says a 19-year-old is not a millennial anymore, which is a good point, because now, when I was 19, I was considered a millennial, but now that generation has since passed, and she's saying now it's Gen X, which we hear all the time as well. So does this study specify? It just says 18-year-old?
It doesn't say which generation.
Not to say you guys are wrong.
They just said they compared teens from 2010 to 2016 to those from the early 1990s.
So then what's the generation behind millennials? Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about those little kids.
The little ones. David Wong is saying Gen X is us in our early 50s to mid 30s, L. So he's saying it's not Gen X. So let me just...
Isn't it the
And remember, they found that replacement generation for people of my age, a certain age that I'm not going to.
Oh, the middle, the
that's
Z.
Between
Gen
between
Z
X and millennials, which I really like, because like unlike Megan, I do not want to be classified as a millennial. Please do not put me into that bucket, and I do not want to be.
Because I know how much we're capable.
Take my bucket, and you take your bucket.
Here, you get your bucket.
It's the generation before us that gets us in a bad reputation.
Hey, I'll shoulder it.
Generation after millennial.
Okay.
Can I say too? Eloy said, "I'm a baby boomer."
Oh, Gen Z. Sorry to cut you off.
So
Gen Z
behind millennials is Z.
Is the demographic cohort after the millennials.
Okay. Can I tell you what Eloy says? Because I think Megan's gonna appreciate this. So I'm gonna read it.
I will.
I hear you though, Elle, I hear you. Elle says, I'm a baby boomer. We worked 15 and a half with a working permit.
I get it.
Nowadays, kids stay home and make money on YouTube. Some kids don't know what hard work is nowadays. It's a technical world. Some adult friends are conducting business online now from home. It's just the way of today's world. Things are changing not just for the young generation, but for all of us.
And guess what? One day Gen Z will be 50 years old and goes, those dang Gen whatever letters left in the alphabet, because there's nothing after Z. So I don't know what they're going to be called after this.
Start using numbers.
That generation doesn't work hard. Back in my day, I made money on YouTube. That's what's going to happen. And then there's always something. They're like, YouTube. We had our guest who was just a little interview. Want to come up here really quick?
Come up here.
You're a chef. You have
and his beauty wife.
Biz. Is this wifey? So Dina, you and him go way back. You guys have interviewed.
We do. How are you?
Good to see you. All shy now. Do you have kids?
I do. I have a 9-year-old.
Okay, so they're part of the Gen
Z.
Even after Z.
I don't know.
Z?
They're the current.
What are you doing right now to instill this idea that you got to work for your money? Because you're a chef, and this is what you do. You make your money, you work hard for it. I'm speaking to the mic.
Okay, I'll leave it over and talk. Well, you know, for me, it's like I've been working since I was 12.
Okay.
You know, I started in restaurants at the age of 15.
Good for you.
And my son, who's 9 now, for the past 5 years, he's grown up with us running our food truck.
Culinary food truck, by the way.
Culinary.
Nerdytruck.com.
Got it.
And the thing is he sees how hard we work.
Yeah.
And I think because he's made comments before, like, well, I don't know, other parents, what do they do for a living? How do they go work? They go to work and they come home in their little
9 to
suits
5,
and we work 14 hours a day.
Right.
And I think the biggest thing is just, like you were saying earlier about the YouTube and online, it's like people are forgetting that there are a lot of jobs that are really, really necessary that are getting neglected. Like my industry is really suffering right now because it's really hard to get somebody that wants to just work hard.
Yeah.
You know,
just that like grit.
It's
just
dirty.
Everyone's looking
Or
for the
just
next
show
best.
up and work. Yeah.
So
You know,
relax.
the thing is I think a lot of it, especially in the culinary, is they think they're going to walk in and get a TV show. I can tell you from experience that isn't
You've
going to
tried
happen.
that.
I've been trying for the past few years now, but it's not as easy, and it's hard work.
And it's not so glamorous. I remember a couple weeks ago we had to bring an electrician to our house, and my husband goes, "Are there still electricians? Like people who just come to your house to work on wires?"
It's declining.
And it's yes, we still need all of these jobs.
Well, everybody
With
wants
education
that.
getting so expensive, people are now going back to wanting to go to those little specific jobs. So
those niches.
could make a resurgence, have a resurgence.
Well, I think one of the biggest things we're seeing too, though, is that with reality TV, you're not seeing real world.
Totally.
You know, the real world is, you were talking about kids getting out of the house. I mean, half of it is they can't afford to. And you can't afford to move out and move into your own place at 18 because you have no skill sets that are going to earn you a larger paycheck. You know, that the big push to raise the minimum wage. But however, you know, you got to develop skills to get better, and that's got to be incentive.
So we have about 60 seconds here, but what you're doing then to contribute to this next generation of powerful leaders is leading by example.
Yeah, it's just, you know, get out there and work hard and be good at what you do.
Yeah. Okay.
Love what
and
you
there's
do.
been no pushback from your son, though.
Oh God.
He doesn't have a
Like a
choice.
15-hour day.
He's 9.
But we'll be opening a food truck.
No, I don't want him to be in my industry, to be honest with you.
You
gotta do something on his own.
You know, I really would like him to find his place.
Yeah.
And not push him into something, but really find what works for him. If he wants to be a farmer, he can be a farmer. I would love for him to be a farmer.
Yeah.
We had a story today. 22-year-old farmer has employed his whole family. It's an incredible story. Like,
Well, that's the thing is there's this need.
Yeah.
There's a huge need for people to get their hands dirty. Not everyone needs to go to college and spend you know, the rest of their life in debt. You need to go out and work with your
Get your
your
hands
and your sweat,
dirty.
and, you know, get dirty. So.
Well said, chef.
you can catch you, right? You're going to be at the Farm to Fork Festival this Saturday.
I'll be
Plug yourself real quick.
I'll be on the demonstration stage at 4
Okay.
o'clock. I'll be on the main stage doing that at 4, and that's it. I mean, the truck is going to be out there. We're going to be doing one of the courses on the Tower Bridge dinner. On the
And
Nice.
how do people find your food truck again? What's the website?
Nerdytruck.com.
I love it.
Cool and nerdy
One of my
food
faves.
All right, Farm to Fork Festival happening this Saturday. The Capitol Mall. Everyone have a great day. Let's see, tomorrow's Friday, 8:45 right now, though. Dina Kupfer's coming up at 9, and then we're back tomorrow morning, 5 to 7 on your TV set. There's no TV set that you guys had on TV set, right? 5 to 7 in the morning blend. Bye, guys. TV screen.
Screen.
Set. I'm so Gen X.
Yeah, I have
You're baby boomer with
my
the
parents.
right?